Hello again, and welcome to OVS's third workflow session as we build up to our 10-year anniversary. In today's session, we'll be discussing surveillance by exception workflows. In our previous two sessions, we talked about well review and opportunity management workflows, both of which are tightly integrated with surveillance by exception rules. So in the industry, we've heard a lot of talk about operating by exception. And if you think about operating an oil field, it just makes sense. Why spend time and resources to perform tasks that may or may not add the most value to our operations? Why expose employees to unnecessary risk sending them to a site that simply doesn't need to be visited? So we've heard terms like pump by exception, exception-based monitoring, manage by exception, and so on. All of these terms mean essentially the same thing. Let the systems tell us what we need to focus on. It sounds very simple, but there's a lot to consider. For instance, what exceptions are important to follow and by whom? How should each exception be reported? Should the exception be treated differently by different people? Are there specific actions required by individuals? Are there complex rules to follow? Should the exception kick off another workflow? The OVS approach to exception management is to integrate exceptions into your everyday workflows, regardless of how or where they were generated. These exceptions may come from OVS Workflows or from other systems. OVS may even be used to reduce the noise from too many alerts. You also have many different types of exceptions to consider: status and status changes, operating ranges, key performance indicator comparisons, trend changes, comparison to various models, complex calculations, artificial intelligence engines, and so on. Each of these exceptions can be incorporated into workflows in many different ways. Let's have a look inside of OVS. In this example of a well review workflow, several different types of exceptions have been integrated, giving the user a quick view of any concerns related to the well. These exceptions were automatically determined by OVS's Surveillance by Exception engine. Additionally, the engine has created notifications for me related to wells and other entities that are in my area of concern. To see the status of all the surveillance alerts generated for the wells in my area, I can switch to our alarm dashboard. Here we see the current status of the alerts, but also the statistics about the exceptions for the entire area, in this case OVS East. I can investigate any specific alert for more detail. Here I'm looking at an alert generated by OVS for critical gas rate, indicating that the well may be close to loading up with water. Exceptions can also be sent to individuals automatically or by users within the system. Here we are sending an email to another user about this particular alert. Another type of exception is a model-based exception. For this, we can switch to our well performance analysis workflow, which will be highlighted in a future video. In this case, a well model has been run automatically by OVS and compared to the most recent well test. For this well, there's a good correlation and no alert. If we switch to well 3, we see an alert in yellow condition indicating that the well model and well test disagree. For all the wells with a numerical model, we can switch to an exception summary view for a broader perspective. Now, some exceptions will require action. The OVS surveillance system allows for alerts to initiate other workflows or create tasks for individuals or groups to be performed. Here, several tasks have been automatically generated in response to an exception and placed in a backlog of tasks in OVS's Opportunity Tracking tool. Thank you for joining us for our third workflow video, Surveillance by Exception. Exception-based operations can be a key component in streamlining your operations. OVS Group has a lot of experience implementing surveillance by exception in typical day-to-day workflows. We would love to hear from you. Please contact OVS for more information.